Welcome back, everybody, to hopefully not the end of the world. I mean, the day this episode comes out, it is election day. So hopefully by the time you hear this, you've gone out to vote, or you're in the process of going out and vote. Those lines could be long.
Maybe you've already done it.
Maybe you've already done it. Those lines could be long. So why not listen to a podcast on Dragon Ball while you wait in those super long lines to get your voice heard? With that said, we're introducing this podcast. This is a Lookout, episode 74. I am Meelz. I am here with the Platinum Chanel boy himself, Jeff.
Yes, sir. I am here.
And we have a special guest, someone who on the Twitter timelines I've talked quite a bit of Dragon Ball with. I think we've gone back and forth quite many times. I wouldn't say like 10% of our conversation is what timeline, how many timelines actually exist in the Trunks and Cell saga. Not fully sure. However, someone who supported us, someone who I just feel like generally, if we're doing this season, if this is our like last Dragon Ball Z kind of like thing,
we got to get him.
We need to have him on. He's just a wealth of knowledge on all things Dragon Ball. I want to introduce, you can follow him on Twitter at Dion Brando, but he is Jay. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thanks for having me, you guys. Yeah, I mean, last time I counted, there's 9 timelines. I could be wrong, but yeah, man, like it's been so great interacting with y'all for as long as I have been. Like, it's just like, oh, yo, some other brothers that get it. This is great. Let's rap.
Right.
Listen, are you using that new mic? Because you sound crisp, my friend.
Yes, sir. I absolutely am. The Elgato Wave 3.
It sounds like Dr. Dre underneath that right
there. I'm gonna be funny. It's when I hit you up to do the episode, you're like, "Oh shit, I just got my mic," and I was like, "Holy stuff!" I was like, "Wait, are you preparing to do something? Are you planning things?"
Yes, I've got a few things that I'm lining up to do myself. This is not my first rodeo in the podcasting room. I would like to get back in, after a while, but I plan on doing some streaming. Just some content creation as a whole. I need to wet my palate, you know what I mean, and get right back into it. So I'm really excited that this is my first foray back into that realm of content creation.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, man, we're happy for you. We're happy. I mean, this will definitely get the juices flowing. I think it'll get it real. We'll get real excited moving on from here. But I kind of want to know, since you were just like a wealth of DBZ knowledge to me, what is your introduction to Dragon Ball? When was it? Were you always just a super fan of it like the rest of us? Like, talk about like your early days of Dragon Ball and like your earliest memories with it.
Absolutely. I have to say it had to have been around 96, 97. I'm originally from San Antonio, Texas. I stay in the Atlanta area now, but one big thing was that on Telemundo, they were showing those episodes every Saturday morning, and I would flip through, and one day I just caught it, and I was like, whoa, they fighting on a whole different level. Because my first introduction to anime as a whole was my uncle showing me Fist of the North Star as a kid. So I was glued to anime as a whole from that point. But once I started watching Dragon Ball Z, I was like, no, this is my shit.
Right.
So, I would watch, even though I didn't understand what they were talking about. I just loved I got that sense of like, this is the sci-fi battle series. These cats are fighting at crazy amounts of strength and power, and they're just throwing bows as much as they can. So, that got to me as like an 8-year-old boy. And man, here we are 24 years later, and I love it probably more than I did at the age of 8, man. It's been a wild journey.
Yo, that's amazing. First of all, I'm glad we all have a similar story. I mean, maybe
isn't it crazy?
It's just
like,
America.
You grew up in the 90s. That's kind of like everybody's like glue right there.
All right, so were you like me, where it's like you talk about Fist of the North Star? Did you also dabble into other animes when you were younger? Because if you were like me, it was not really. But have you? And if so, like, what did you watch and what are your favorites, man?
Yeah, man. So it's funny. There was shows that I watched that I just didn't understand that they were anime because I have an uncle that's 6 years older than me. So he was into a lot of the stuff that like we would consider just like your regular run-of-the-mill anime. But he had these tapes because he had friends that would go to Chinatown in Houston and come back with all these shows. Like Yu Yu Hakusho, I remember watching as a kid, just like random episodes. Akira, just like really the stuff that's like not so niche to us now. But in the 90s, we never would have had any idea about, right?
Right.
So it was one of those things where once we started getting that on television here, I was like, oh wait, yo, that's that guy in the green jumpsuit. I gotta keep watching that. You know what I mean? Right. So once I had that recognizability, then I was able to say, oh, I'm a super fan. But for a kid that grew up just loving Power Rangers and Ninja Turtles, and, you know, just that action genre as a whole, the moment I saw these things, I knew it was for me, whether I knew what was going on or not.
Yeah, I think that's a similar thing with Meelz and I. We just clumped it all with cartoons and, you know, those type of things. Like, we didn't know where it was coming from necessarily. So, yeah, it is actually amazing. The stories are really similar to every guest we have on here when we ask them how they got into anime or, you know, like if you're around our age, it's very similar. And it's crazy that we were all in these different places, but still coming up the same.
It is beautiful, man.
Even down to like watching the Telemundo, because I couldn't get enough of Dragon Ball.
Yeah,
like even the language, I couldn't even understand it, and you know the voices were very much so much more high pitched. Like Spanish Goku is like the highest pitch of a voice I've ever heard in my life. But even just down to that, and just like, okay, we couldn't get enough of it. Like it's on Telemundo. Fuck it, I got half an hour. I know how this episode goes. I know the dialogue to this point. I know everything. Let me just sit down and watch it. But speaking of watching Dragon Ball, I mean, before we get into kind of the events of this episode, we kind of have to talk about some big news that is coming our way, and it's
great news.
It was announced late last week. It was announced that Sony is reportedly close to buying Crunchyroll for almost $1 billion. Not quite one,
just short.
Almost, yeah, just short of $1 billion. I feel
Sony was like,
yeah.
They're like, hey, listen, we knew when y'all used to be like Kiss Anime, so you're not gonna get this full, Billy. You know what I'm saying? Like, congrats on going legal. But
honestly, especially for gathering anime and in a large realm, I know me and Meelz discuss a lot about not being able to get things, you know, in the amount of time that people in Japan get it. Or I just hope that we can progress and improve on getting things done, released worldwide, or whatever the case may be. And I think putting a big name like Sony behind it definitely helps. They also, Crunchyroll in general has some like technical issues that I hope Sony will go ahead and address too, like on their actual app. I'm sure you guys already know what I'm talking about. So, you know, I think their streaming can be much more clean. I think they can improve their the library overall and just the way it's set up. So to me, this is just great news.
Yeah, man. It's one of those things where, just like you mentioned, once they get that Sony budget in, you would think that the server issues they have run into sometimes. I mean, you guys remember Dragon Ball Super episode 131, not being able to watch it for hours.
How can we forget, man?
You know what I mean? So, you know, we would hope that those types of issues would be fixed in time. But Crunchyroll being where it is now has definitely changed the game. You know, the simulcast era that we're in now, I remember when we used to have to wait a week.
Yeah.
You know? So if it means that we're going to have now Sony owning Crunchyroll and Funimation, which who knows what that's going to look like once this is all finished, right? You
Imagine
have so
that,
much
that
more
app
content
on the PS5, man. It's going to be so sick. I can't wait how they set this shit up, man. I'm really I just hope this really takes us watching anime to a whole nother level. You know, maybe we can they can cut that Demon Slayer deal, Meelz, we've been talking about, man.
I mean, hopefully, because it is legitimate torture to hear it breaking records every week. A new record that's broken in Japan, and it's like, all right, so y'all just didn't think of like a worldwide or anything. You just wanted to build the. I haven't even seen a cam rip yet. I'm not gonna. As many people saw it, and I haven't seen a cam rip yet. Is wild to me, but
that's because Japan, man.
Yeah, they're on it. They're on it. I haven't seen one either. And you know, I told you I would be looking.
I mean, I remember when the Broly movie came out, the only fan cam videos you could see were from like Europe. Like nobody in Japan had anything available.
Wow.
I watched one with no subtitles. I just watched it. You know, I didn't even, I was like, man, I want to watch this so bad.
Yeah, I mean, you get the thing about anime is like, despite like, I mean, they're a large part of dialogue. It kind of depends on the anime. I guess I'll like say this is more towards Dragon Ball Z because it's kind of like more so of a linear kind of anime. There's not too much that'll like shock you or like things you can't decipher from just actions that they do. It's not like, oh, we're, you know, I mean, this I would say this arc kind of gets a little deep, but they don't really go in that deep anyway. So, but there's stuff like that, yeah, you can watch and be like, okay, I still get it. Like we can watch it in Spanish and be like, okay, we still get what's going on.
That's right.
If I'm trying to be introduced to the series, if I'm trying to be introduced to, like I say, Demon Slayer, I mean, even Demon Slayer I might get. Well, I think probably like maybe like Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, I would probably say like, yeah, I probably need to understand what's going on.
Yeah.
Or Attack on Titan or something along those lines.
Yeah, Death Note, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, I mean, they're closing in. It's a Billy. Hopefully it brings it all together. Hopefully the Funimation player is better. Hopefully the Crunchyroll player is better. I think if you want to choose, and I'm legitimately just choosing like in terms of how it's delivered, I know they're going to have everything or a lot of stuff. I think Netflix should be their model in terms of just like, it's just very easy to sit there and binge and it goes to the next one and it's smooth.
Yeah,
agreed.
We need a straight
and it's kind
hub,
of smooth on everything.
an anime hub, just a mass. I mean, they should just they should put Funimation on this Crunchyroll thing and just make it shake. Like, just make it work. Like, I don't need to be touching 3-4 different apps to watch some of my favorite animes. So.
Yeah, it's true.
It should be something where like existing users, no matter which one you have, your login's gonna work for like, you know how they have Verve right now, right? Where you have this hub of just all these different types of content. It should work just like that.
Yeah, I agree.
I use my login, I watch whichever ones I'm wanting to peep, and boom.
But I think we're also in this era, and I think all streaming platforms are realizing how important and how strong the anime audience is, and all of them want to capitalize on their like either original anime or be like exclusive rights to a certain anime. And they understand. I mean, it's nice for once, especially considering like if you grew up an anime fan, you weren't necessarily like, you had to work incredibly hard to find the stuff that you wanted to watch, or you felt like it was generally ostracized from kind of mainstream, distributors or like any sort of media. And now it feels nice that people are catering to us. It's like, oh, let me give you I'll give you the whole first season of Demon Slayer initially like this, or we'll give you My Hero and it'll be available the next day and in English or something along those lines. It feels nice to be wined and dined a little bit. I'm gonna be honest.
Agreed. If this was to open up to not even just your modern anime getting those simulcasts, but greater licenses that never touch the States. Like there's so many Shonen Jump manga and anime that we never ever got, like Ninku, Zanki, things like that. I'm just spitballing like what it could look like. This could be a whole new frontier for the anime distribution game in the West.
Can't wait.
Yeah, you're 100% right. But with all that said, and all that is great stuff,
let's hit Namek.
Let's get to the episode.
Yes,
let's hit Namek.
Where the sun always shines.
3 suns never sets at the same time.
No, it's hot as hell.
I mean, it is what it is. Let's see. Okay, so last time on the lookout, they arrived to Namek. They did all the cool stuff. I mean, Frieza killed some Namekians. He had a blast doing it. I think Vegeta also killed some Namekians. Krillin and Gohan made a friend with a Namekian. And I would say that's kind of the gist of last episode. It was more so introducing the entire Namek arc to this.
Deborah was still my MVP of last episode.
Dodoria? Yeah. You know what? I think, all right, so let me ask you guys this. Who do you think, and we're going through these series of episodes, and they are episodes 52 through 61. Who would you guys say is the MVP of these series of episodes? I mean, I kind of have an idea, but who would you guys say is the MVP?
Vegeta. Easily. He shined so well, and one could say this is the beginning of that like villain to anti-hero turn that he makes, right? Where he's clearly out for his own agenda, but and we'll discuss it later, but he has reasons why it's like, listen, y'all side has to go, like just absolutely has to go, and these other kids over here, I'm not really rocking with them, but if it means that they are keeping y'all from winning, fuck it.
Listen. I mean, the entire thing, I would say, all right, so I try to tell stories with these kind of episodes or like these kind of like strings and things that we go through. And I would summarize this entire thing as just wins and losses. I think all parties, all three teams, we separated into three tiers. We separated it into Team Vegeta, who's one man on its own. Frieza, he's got everything at this point. He got all the resources that he could need. He's got scouters. He's got people to die for him. He's got people to fight for him. He's got a whole bunch of other things. We separated into three teams. Currently in the standings, Team Frieza is leading, I think, 5. I want to say 5-1 at this point. At the beginning of the episode, it's 5-1 to 0. With Frieza having 5 Dragon Balls, Vegeta having 1 Dragon Ball, and Team Z Warriors still trying to figure out, like, damn, what do these things even look like?
Why did we come here?
Right.
Yeah. Why did we come here if it's
Where's
going to
Goku?
be? It is legitimately turning into just a battle of survival moving forward. But let's talk about Vegeta. We talked to him a little bit last episode. I think, would you consider this peak Vegeta, or would you consider like maybe the things that he's grown on later on down the line as like peak Vegeta? Because I think this is probably him at his most effectiveness throughout maybe the entire series, like in terms of just like volume and like I'm trying to do something and I'm going to accomplish it. Yeah. Now we all go ahead.
No, I mean I wouldn't say it's peak Vegeta, but I think he's getting to that point where we get to see how intelligent he really is, because he's had opportunities to switch up sides or, act brand new or just, pretend like, hey, I can just do this all on my own. But, like Dion said, man, at this point, he's like, man, I'll just rock with these guys. I don't really rock with any of y'all, but, I can't rock with Frieza. Absolutely. I just cannot. I can't do it. Remember, he tried to act like he didn't care about the information that was given to him from Dodoria, but, he did. He did. Yes. And I think that led to this decision even more, like finding the truth out about his planet. So I think this was just him really getting into that anti-hero, that role where like, oh man, this guy's actually not that much of a dick. He's really cool. Yeah. I kind of like this guy. I'm kind of rooting for this guy. Oh, he's hanging out with Gohan and Krillin a little bit. Yeah, I'm here for this.
You're right, because the Saiyan Saga introduces him as a conniving piece of shit.
Oh god,
right?
Yeah. He's hard to like.
He turns on Nappa at the drop of a dime. It's like basically how they introduced Frieza is how Vegeta was in the last arc.
Right.
Like, he doesn't care if you're subservient to him or anything. Mm-hmm. He just has a goal and he wants to get it accomplished. At this point, we start fleshing out his character, and I've always referred to this part of the Namek arc as like the RPG part, right? Because it feels like the way an RPG progresses, like, oh, I have to go do this task. Now I have to go and get these Dragon Balls. Now I have to go and make sure I'm powered up. Those types of things. And along that line, you see Vegeta form this role of just this like, hey, hang on, wait, I'm kind of watching how things play out, and I'm going to make my moves based on what you all do.
Yeah.
And even in that, he's not fully reactionary, because in these episodes, we see he makes some proactive actions that leads to Frieza then having to shift his own way of doing things that he had already planned on Namek.
Yeah, 100%. And I think just overall, this section of it is continuing. They're telling an overall story. And I think if it ended with Frieza arc, if it ended with the Frieza arc, if this entire story ended with the Frieza arc, you probably would have got a kind of a full, I wouldn't say full circle, because he would have ended up dead. I mean, I guess he lived at the end, but you kind of get a full kind of like circle, like this build, you know what I'm saying? I think each body that's on his hands, each move that he makes, it's shown that he's a very smart and capable fighter. He's very cerebral in terms of the things that he does. He's someone who thinks a lot before he actually does something. Like you said, not reactionary, not like Zarbon, who completely like screws the pooch on everything here. But he's someone who thinks, and it's the constant build from, killing Kui to getting, killing that village and getting that Dragon Ball. That's another one, to killing Dodoria. And it's like this constant build and constant like feeding of this ego. And it's so, and he knows that every time he fights, he gets stronger. And he's like, man, this is the cheat code of all cheat codes. Like, this is practically unfair. Like, to the point, like, oh my God. And it's really drilled to the point of like, every time he fights, he gets stronger, to even to the point where you look at it, it's like, this is kind of not fair. Like no one else has this kind of ability, and you can kind of see why Frieza is in fear of the Saiyans, but no one really has this ability, and it continues to swell and swell his ego. And he gets, I mean, in this series of episodes, he gets his first like, okay, it's like a swipe back at it in the battle with Zarbon.
Right.
And we can kind of move into the battle with Zarbon. He fights Zarbon initially, and he has the upper hand. And once again, his ego's on 10. He just killed Doria. He's like, yo, if I got to take out every person one by
so
one,
be it. Yeah, so be it.
Then so be it. And then Zarbon transforms, which will become a thing. It's a great. I don't know if it's a great,
it's
precursor.
A weird thing. I get it. He's like, I'm beautiful, but let me show you my. You know what I'm saying?
It might have been good if they saved it for Frieza, but you get at least like a. Wow, okay. These guys are also hiding their strength. That's cool.
Yeah. It's like the concept of these aliens. It's like, oh, okay, cool. So you guys can do something too, right?
He transforms, and he looks like, when he transforms, I mean, he's this handsome guy. We talked about it, like Hardy Boy sleeves and all this other stuff like that. Right. Very handsome guy. And then he turns into this like ugly. He looks like, we're 90s kids. The show Dinosaurs. You remember that?
Yes. Of course.
He does. Clearly looks like one of those. Like he could be sitting at the table, or like he's just a kid with a skateboard, or one of them, and he 100% mollywops Vegeta.
He beats Vegeta's ass, dude. Like Vegeta during the fight was so funny to me because Vegeta is just like making all these noises. Like he can't believe that this shit is happening to him right now. Like,
and it's clear that he underestimated Zarbon, like from the start, right? He's like, "Oh, this pretty boy, I got him, whatever," right? And then Zarbon's just like, "Oh, you know what? No one's ever lived to see this, and you won't either." You know what I mean?
Yeah. Drops his ass.
Yeah. I mean, no one takes an ass kicking. Like, it's weird because it's definitely part of the argument of like why I think fans sympathize with him more than Goku in some instances, because Goku never goes through this type of thing, like where it's like definitive, like, okay, he got his ass kicked. Like Vegeta gets mopped, thrown into the ocean, left for dead, all this type of stuff, and it never really happens to Goku. So it's kind of like, it's the argument that you got there. But yes, Vegeta takes this ass whooping. I love this entire kind of like part, and I say this, I'm weaving it kind of like in this whole Vegeta perspective thing. But Zarbon goes back to the ship, and this is it's just one of my favorite parts, because any exchange with Frieza, and it's clear Frieza is the boss that everyone hates, not hates, but like fears. And you go there, it's like, I beat up Vegeta, and he's like, so, like,
you're not gonna where is he?
You don't know. Yeah, where's the Dragon Ball?
Where's the Dragon Ball? Like,
where's the Dragon Ball? And he's like, yo, I beat up Vegeta. Like, this is what you wanted, right? Like, I kicked his ass. I made sure he's flown in the ocean. Well, is he dead? I'm not sure if he's dead. Like, what do you mean by dead? Is like essentially what Zarbon says. It's like, what do you mean by dead? If you mean like he's not moving, yeah, he's kind of dead, but it's not like, you can't wish him back. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't wish back someone who's already alive. Frieza looks at Zarbon and says, you dirty motherfucker.
Zarbon was like, Frieza, I dropped him in the water. I wasn't going to go down there. Frieza's like, oh, you didn't want to get wet, bro? You didn't want to get wet and tell me if this guy was actually dead?
He's like, look, that is a saying. Do you know what I do to them for fun?
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
Like, so you didn't get any information. You didn't get any information about the Dragon Ball. You didn't get any information from him about anything that he's learned. You just beat him up and left him there, and you're not even sure if he's dead.
Frieza has
and
a point, though.
Saiyans only get so Frieza's back in his head is like, this motherfucker just gonna get stronger. I mean, he's not stronger than me, but I know those. I know those Saiyans. This is exactly what's gonna happen.
And to go right back to how you pointed on how Frieza reacted, one big takeaway is that in this part of Dragon Ball Z, Akira Toriyama is basically writing him as an evil real estate salesman. Like, he's not really a dictator, because he based it on the housing crisis that came with the economy bubble burst of the late 80s of Japan, right? So he's like, hey, who are the biggest scumbags that I can base his character off of. A real estate salesman who's trying to sell houses to people that can't afford it. So Frieza being that scummy of just like, hey, listen, I don't care about all that extra. You beat him. Let's stick to business. What about the Dragon Ball?
Right.
You know,
Right.
like it really drives home that like Frieza really, he doesn't care about all that extra at all.
Yeah. He's not really fearful of anybody on the planet. It's more of just like, it's like the principle, of it. He's just like, dude, like, you're gonna come back here and give me this information with no type of real proof. So you can say whatever you want to say, but if this man shows up while I'm doing something, then I gotta kill you.
Can I also say there's also another interaction during this entire interaction where, and this is a Frieza fighter. I looked it up. His name is called Orlin. He goes.
Oh,
he finds
this part's so funny.
He finds a village that Vegeta destroyed. And he's like, damn, someone destroyed this village. This is crazy. And there's one Namekian. It was like, let me crawl to the. I saw him, throw the Dragon Ball into the water. Let me crawl towards him. At least save this Dragon Ball. And Orlin comes down, and he probably thinks he's Frieza. This is probably like, yo, ruthlessness. This is what you Namekian scum. Like, look at you. Kills him. Then Orlin, poor Orlin, goes back to Frieza. Says, yo, I found the village that Vegeta killed. And he's like, oh, word? What's going on there? Yeah, I had one Namekian there. And I killed him.
Like,
you dumbass.
Listen, bro, this is literally like the step between getting a promotion and getting fired.
Yeah.
And it's just like, he absolutely just fucked his whole opportunity up.
Oh, yeah. He thought he was going to get the promotion. He thought he was going to get, killed another Namekian, light Orlin shit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's like he forgot that every interaction with Frieza is an interview.
Right. Come on. Like,
oh my God. Like, and Frieza's already in a bad mood. And I feel like, I can relate just walking in to like a boss being in a bad mood and just like, also didn't get much more information on that. I actually don't know the answer. And Frieza just destroys him. He's like, yo, Zarbon, that could be you. Go find Vegeta. And, Zarbon has to fly however many, I don't even know. The geography of Namek is just one giant.
We're not really
so unclear.
Yeah.
I don't know how much diameter it is. I don't know how far. I've only known they only really kind of tell you it takes them 5 hours to get to Guru's place, which we'll get to. But like, we don't know much outside of that. But he flies however long it takes to Vegeta, plucks him out of whatever, the ground or something, throws him in the healing tank, which again, this is the distinction between like someone who thinks things through and someone who doesn't think things through. Because Zarbon putting Vegeta in the healing tank, you're essentially healing someone who you know is their enemy, but yet you haven't like retained them. It is the worst idea ever. This legitimately changes the tides because of Zarbon's lack of thinking through this entire thing. And maybe Frieza's thinking like, yo, maybe I should have got fucking Quaid on this or something along those lines.
Honestly, something kind of stood out to me about that. In what I thought when I was watching the episode is that this man has been working for Frieza for so long that he sees anyone as subordinate to Frieza as just Frieza soldier number 89 or whatever, right? Yeah. So he likely looks at Vegeta that same way. Like, listen, man, I get it. You acted out. But at the end of the day, you still work for us. So I'm going to do what I have to do by throwing one of our guys in the healing chamber. But he didn't realize, like, okay, yeah, he fought me and he lost. That's going to put him in check. No. Okay. All right, Zarbon.
It might even make him more irritable. Just for the fact that,
definitely will.
Like, oh my God, he spared my life and he healed me. Who the fuck does this guy think he is? But nonetheless, Vegeta pops out. Maybe a later Vegeta would have thought this way. Maybe like super prideful, Super Saiyan Vegeta would have thought this way. I don't think he's prideful, but not to the point where I think he gets to at a later down the line once he like achieves Super Saiyan. But he's like, there's a semblance of pride, but it's not really fully like driving him. He's really kind of just driven on like power and lust because he's, Frieza. So he's back to full health, and it's one of the best parts. Poor Apul. Apul is like, yo, Vegeta. Can't wait till what Frieza does to you. And then Vegeta's eyes open, and it's incredible. The healing tank glows. He bursts out, kills Apul. Shout out to Apul. I feel like is he in a game or something?
He's in Budokai
Like, is he?
Tenkaichi 3.
yeah, he is.
There you go.
I used to
Shout out
love
to
beating people with a pool and Pui. Or Kui, sorry.
That would push them to the next level.
Yeah, lose friends real quick like that.
Oh my god. With that said, we get Vegeta's probably most cunning moment of the entire series. Of the entire series. Let's say the entire series. I would like to think the entire series. I don't know if there's anything sort of disputing that. I don't think he gets more tactical legitimately until like I don't know if he's more tactical than this.
I don't think so either. And I'm literally sitting here thinking through the arcs. Like he doesn't get this like cunning, right?
Yeah.
Where he's like, oh wait, I got a plan. I'm gonna dupe him here, and then boom, I'm gone.
Right. He destroys part of the ship where the healing tank is to draw them near this room, and then he, of course, flies out and escapes. Zarbon's looking around in there, like, where is he? And Frieza's like, where's my I can't do his voice. I would love to be able to do
that's a tough
I would love to be able to do that voice, but I just can't. Like, where's my Dragon Balls? First of all, the animation is terrible, but it's something that I just look past anyway because of how great this scene is. But it'll always kind of be remembered as like that weird, like ill-proportioned Vegeta, weird eyes Frieza.
All do it every now and then. You know how it goes. It's Dragon Ball shit.
Yeah, they use the B team animation team, and God, it's easy to tell.
People gotta get off days, you know. People need off days.
Yeah, 100%. He flies out. He's like, "You better find them." So you get, and Vegeta sneaks back into the ship. Finds Frieza's room. 5 Dragon Balls. They're right in front of him. Blasts the window. Throws them out. First, before he throws them out, he shoots a blast down the hallway to further just throw them off. He's like, they're gonna find me eventually. I got another distraction. Here I am. And it's like, oh my god, like there's fire coming out now, and like Zarbon shitting his pants, Frieza shitting his pants.
Rap City.
Frieza's running down the hallway. I don't think I've seen Frieza run ever in this series. Like running with like, you know, thing behind him, but you know, Vegeta tosses out all 5 Dragon Balls from the ship, flies out himself. Frieza, slow to realize that, oh shit, I left my Dragon Balls unsupervised. Even if they were supervised, at this point, there's no one that was going to stop Vegeta. But he goes back to room, sees his Dragon Ball missing, sees Vegeta's missing, and he is fucking livid. I would not have been surprised if he blew up anything. I wouldn't have been surprised. I'm actually more surprised at the restraint he had of not killing things immediately. But he's like, Zarbon, you better find that motherfucker, and you better find him, and you better, I don't even know if he says kill him, just get back my Dragon Balls. That's it. Get back the Dragon Balls.
The focus was the mission.
Yeah. Vegeta's just like, yo, underwater, baby. They can't find me here. Suddenly I can swim. Suddenly, you know, Tom Clancy's, you know, Max Payne, whatever the hell it is. Suddenly I'm swimming now. And that is, I would say that is a good way to kind of like end this kind of like, you know, this perspective from Vegeta's side. Like it's a lot going on. And it's kind of, this is the peak of like this RPG adventure. And it's something that you never really get in Dragon Ball Z. This is why kind of like the Namek Saga kind of like lives on its own, because they never really do adventure anymore. It's kind of like action. Like all the time.
It's that like, hey, right now this is your main character. Now we're gonna,
or you're training to fight the main character, or you're training to fight this other person, as opposed to like, okay, there's other things going on at hand that help build around the context of the fight. Let's move on to Team Z Warriors. I mean, Team Z Warriors, Krillin's like, yo, you flying to see Guru. After 5 hours, he's flying with what's his
with
name?
Dende.
Gosh, Dende. There you go. To go meet Guru. He meets Guru. He meets Nail. Let's talk about Nail for a little bit.
Man, so great. Like this introduction. God, I really wish he had lived up to the hype of what you feel the first time you see him. because the first thing Krillin says is he looks just like Piccolo, and it's just like, oh, okay, cool. We got another badass Namekian fighter on the planet.
Right.
And, I mean,
right?
as far as where we're at right now, we don't know that he's not, but it's just like one of those like his immediate introduction carries some gravity to it, and it's just like, okay, cool. Yeah. Like now, I don't think all the Namekians on this planet are scrubs.
Yeah, essentially that's it, right? Like he's at this point in the series the strongest Namekian ever. It doesn't last long, but it's he's the strongest Namekian of all time, or not even. I want to say of all time, probably all time. Strongest Namekian up to this point. You meet him, it's very stoic. You can kind of tell from his like, kind of the way he carries himself that he carries like he doesn't carry himself like, oh, what's going on here? He's not really frantic. It's like, yo. Yeah. Every step matters, every move matters, everything like that. Who is this guy? I can sense that he's good. Bring him in.
You get the idea this man's trained his whole life.
Yeah, essentially. He ends up being in this entire arc essentially a bodyguard for Guru, which, fair. But also, it would have been nice to have another Namekian around. I don't know, just for Piccolo's sake. I think just for Piccolo to become closer or learn to become closer to Namek before they fuse. I mean, whether they fuse or not, the fusing is cool. I don't mind the fusing eventually at the end of the day because it's something that Namekians can do, and I think it's an end to a means and it's stronger, all this other stuff. But I would have loved to see much more on like an interaction between those two on, just Piccolo lands on Namek in the future and still doesn't know much more. Still doesn't know much more than he does, or at least it's not told to us that he knows much more than he does than after he leaves it. Then we meet Guru, who's the guardian of Namek, the lone Namekian who survived the climate shift thing that nearly destroyed Namek. I mean, it destroyed everybody else but him. Wow, he is huge and huge and huge. That's all I remember as a kid.
Damn near.
I remember just looking as a kid. It's like it's kind of like a ripe banana, but like or maybe some other fruit.
Yeah,
like a very ripe. Obviously, he looks like he's seen better days, but he also. It wouldn't surprise me. Yes, of course, if he holds like some sort of gift or power, and he does as the guardian. He birthed the entire race of Nameks up to this point. Like he's Guru. He just is.
He's the progenitor of, like you said, like the entire current era of Namek. Like he's the only one who remembers Katas and any of that era that he exposes about, but like we don't ever see anything about outside of his one flashback.
Right. So, well, let me ask you this, because we talked about this on the last episode.
Yes.
With the whole Katas, the whole previous Namek thing. Is there anything that you feel like? Do you feel like it's something that we should necessarily see?
Oh, 100%. I believe that, especially once you get towards the Cell Saga and they start explaining the whole Super Namek deal, which never gets touched upon ever again, it would have been great for us to get a little bit further on that. Hell, I'll take a movie about Katas over the Lord Slug movie, and I like the Lord Slug movie, but come on, which one's going to be more interesting in the long run, right?
100%.
And especially since you get some idea that he had to have been really powerful. I mean, Guru himself says it had to have been a Super Saiyan that killed Kami. And my first thought was, how strong did you think Kami was? And secondly, how strong was Katas?
Right?
Because like, if this is son of Katas, then if his name carries just that sort of like gravity, what kind of person were we dealing with then? Right? So I feel like that is one corner of just Dragon Ball lore that if we had gotten a little bit more fleshed out, I think Piccolo would have more respect on his name to this day.
Right. I agree. It adds a lot more, especially considering how much he's used throughout the series, how much things, great moments that he has. It would be great if I think a lot of his sentimental moments weren't necessarily all Gohan related. Just to be like, oh, I'm a person on my own. I have my own race, and maybe Gohan learns about his race and all this other stuff, and we get a lot much more open dialogue about things.
And it's clear
Like-
that at some point they had those kind of conversations because Gohan respects the Namekian culture so much that he wants to dress up as it, not just to pay homage to Piccolo, but their culture. So clearly there's some lore there that we as the viewers are missing on.
Absolutely. So when they fly to Guru, I mean, Guru knows a lot. He tells him about the Super Saiyans. I feel like this is the first mention to Super Saiyans to Krillin. I could be wrong.
Unless Krillin,
like, Vegeta,
yeah. And it's the first one that's like
yammering about it. Yeah. We get the final Dragon Ball. So now, if you're looking at the scoreboard, Vegeta 6, Frieza 0. I mean, legitimately blew a 5-1 lead. Vegeta 6, Frieza 0, and now Earthlings 1. So they get the Dragon Ball. And also, in the meantime, Krillin gets his power, his inner potential unlocked, which is a great way to just, a great device to just forego all the training that they need to do.
We don't have time for you guys to train here. We might as well unlock something within you because if we don't do that, you're going to be on Saiyan Saga fighting these cats.
Absolutely. And I think even I don't want to say the concept of training is lost, but I think in this arc, because of how much power-ups there are without actual training itself, that the concept of it leading to like increased power kind of loses its luster a bit. I mean, between Guru doing the power-up here, Vegeta just having an ability that powers him up, same with Goku, Piccolo fusing with Nail and just getting a power from there. It's becoming they're like, okay, we obviously need different devices to figure out how to get these people stronger. It's lit. Krillin flies off 100% with the Dragon Ball. He's like, yo, I can't believe my power. Like, I get the blue thing around my flying thing. Now I can, fly around faster and I'm going to get back to those guys in no time. And meanwhile, as he's flying back, Gohan notices that one Dragon Ball that Vegeta just kind of left. I don't know if they're looking at the radar and just seeing like, if you just see like one Dragon Ball flying across the Earth, 2 Dragon Balls flying across the Earth, it's like, wow, I'm looking at the radar and someone's just tossing these Dragon Balls like halfway across the thing.
It's like, well, suddenly they just all started going one by one. It's pretty weird.
But with that said, Gohan, he takes a trip over to that village. He sees it. He sees the destruction. This was a lot for a 5-year-old. He sees the destruction, the murder of an entire village, but he manages to go down and he finds the Dragon Ball. It is, I love it, the 4-star Dragon Ball. Yes, of course.
Very appropriate.
Very, very appropriate. It's the 4-star Dragon Ball. And he begins his venture back. But now we got to, slide back. Here's where things start coming in across and all this stuff starts intersecting a little bit. Krillin makes it back to Bulma. He's like, where's Gohan? He's like, oh, we found another Dragon Ball. Oh, that's great because I have a Dragon Ball too. We'll have 2 Dragon Balls. That'll be awesome. No one's going to come after us. And not realizing, he says this line in the W, is like, yo, I was so caught up with my power-up that I did not notice that people were following me. I was like, you idiot.
It's like, really? You were just like gassed up on like your whole idea of finally I'm strong.
Finally. 28,000. Wow. Like, or something along those lines. Not realizing like Vegeta's following him, Zarbon's following Vegeta, all this other stuff. So he leads him right there, and we get, Vegeta is like, yo, hand over the ball. First of all, Vegeta discovering that they're on the planet is just a nice little... I like that it took a little bit longer. I'm glad it wasn't like the first episode, like, oh, okay, yeah, here. But I like that it took a little bit longer to discover it. I thought it was a nice touch. Krillin eventually, he lands. Vegeta lands. Vegeta wants the Dragon Ball. He says, hand it over. Zarbon comes over. Is like, yo, fuck you. Like, seriously.
Who told you you can leave, man?
Yeah. Seriously. Where are the 5 Dragon Balls you stole from us? And it's like, yo, if you want it, you got to fight. But just know, I'm stronger because I almost died. So we get Zarbon versus Vegeta 2. It's not much of a fight. I think most of these things aren't much of a fight. But he does do the transformation.
Major. Man.
Yes.
It put 100%. Vegeta on that next level.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And he gets that boost, fights back and forth with Zarbon, murks Zarbon in completely ruthless fashion. Just one of the most unforgettable, kind of cool, but it was like, oh, blast to the stomach, blows entire insides out. I was like, wow.
Gruesome.
Just crazy. And so Zarbon's out of the equation. Vegeta's like, yo, run that shit. Run that Dragon Ball. Give me that. Like,
Yeah.
I'm about to this is my arc. Like,
Yeah,
this
he's
is
like, yo,
everything.
you see
This
what
is
I did
me.
to him, and he has a form, okay? Give me that.
I admire Krillin for just being like, okay, you know, you're gonna have to like take it from me, and then Vegeta's like, I will kill you, and then he's like, you know what, just take the Dragon Ball. It's not really worth it at this point. Like, it's not worth to die on a planet where no one really knows me, and like I'm far away from my friends and family, all this other stuff. He gives up the Dragon Ball nonetheless, and Vegeta meets with Gohan somewhere in the middle. They're intersecting. Gohan, smart kid, always been a smart kid. But I think it's more so smart based out of survival than actual like.
Yeah,
wow,
you're
this will
sure
get
right.
him.
Because it was one of those things where he's like, I gotta think quick. Because if I let him know that this thing helps me find those, he's gonna just jack me for it right now, right?
Yeah.
So rather than make this any worse, he's just like, man, look, I'm on a whole new planet. I don't know what time it is. I just have this watch to help me keep track of time.
Absolutely. I mean, worst case scenario, Vegeta found out, he would have had to destroy it, which is legitimately it would have sucked for everyone involved. You know, he hides it. He says, "Yo, this is the watch." Vegeta and Gohan have this little conversation, a little saying to saying, a little heart to heart, a little saying to saying. He was like, "Yo, is your father here? Like, is your dad here? Like, I want to see if I could beat him up now." He's like, "No, I haven't seen my dad in forever. I don't even know my dad. Went out for milk. Never saw him again." And he was like, "Listen, me and you, last two Saiyans.
It's just us, baby."
Yeah, it's just us. Listen, if you weren't Saiyan, if you were some other bull-headed kid, I would have killed you. But since you're a Saiyan, I'm gonna let you live." Boy, it's Vegeta's entire. It's his ego, I think, that swelled up to the point where he's just now, like, even the tiny stuff.
Yeah,
he's just overlooking, because it's like, okay, one, he's focused on the goal of getting all the Dragon Balls. He's like, yo, he doesn't even have a Dragon Ball, but he's like, not even to the point where he's like even saying like, oh, these kids are after the Dragon Ball too. They could possibly thwart my plans.
He doesn't consider it one bit. Like, I don't think he ever even realized, like, well, why are you here? You know what I mean? It was just one of those like, oh, you're here too? Huh, okay, so fuck that. Where's my Dragon Balls?
Right. He goes over. He sits there. He's like, yo. He goes over to the village. He's like, look at that. I did that. Look at that. Goes searches underwater. Can't find the Dragon Ball. Another great Vegeta moment. Just another. I think in any dub, it just sounds fucking amazing.
Yeah. And I really envy you, man, like having watched like both dubs, because I remember I saw this scene when he's flying away and I immediately had flashbacks to the first time I saw it.
Oh yeah, like the initial kind of dub with it's just, I don't think it's Sabbath's voice.
No, not at all.
It's not. So there's this like,
Ryan
it's more
Drummond,
like, yeah, it's a little bit more like, I don't even know if it's harsher. It's just a little bit. It's like a tiny bit less manlier, a little bit more wormier on the side. Yeah. It's not like it's totally. It's like, like it's that type of thing.
Where's my Dragon Ball? Like that kind of.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And he shoots out of the water and can't believe it. He flies back to where they were, and they're gone, because duh. Why wouldn't he? Why would know where we're at?
Yeah.
He's gone, and he's just livid. Vegeta's livid. He's just like, and then he takes a step back a bit. He's like, listen, I've got 6 of these motherfuckers. If they want to make a wish, they got to find me.
Yeah.
I'll find them eventually. But if they want to make a wish, they got to find me. And I mean, it's 100% right. Gohan decides, okay. I mean, Krillin tells him, like, yo, this Guru guy, he's like giving out power-ups. Like, yo, you need to check him out. Like, yo, They fly over to Guru, leave Bulma alone. We'll get into the little like Bulma adventure thing in our like.
Yes. Her
I
big
have
day
a
out.
specific section. I have a big specific section of like Goku, dead people, Bulma, etc. Like all the miscellaneous things that happen on this arc. Earthlings, I guess. And he goes to Guru, meets Guru. Everyone's happy. He was like, "Oh, I sense, great power within this child." And he's like, "That's awesome. I need this power up because Vegeta is showing up right now." Like Vegeta is right outside. And sure enough, Vegeta pulls up, and he pulls up in front of Krillin. He flies over to the Namek. He's like, "Yo, that must be where the last Dragon Ball is." He flies over. There's a nice interaction between Vegeta and Nail.
Yes.
Which I would have liked to see more of, just because we never really get to see like a competitive Nail type of thing. I mean, I don't know Vegeta. I don't know how much it would have like hurt his ego to get like kind of like slapped by a Namekian.
Yeah, especially considering how he was like, "Hey, listen, you guys are just all fodder," right? So yeah, that would have been a nice little tangle, right? If Nail had just like not necessarily beat him down, but just like give him the 1-2, right? Like, hey, listen, I'm not the one you want to fuck with, man.
Yeah, 100%. Listen, we aren't all pushovers. You know what I'm saying? There's a Namekian here or 2 or 3, but that probably it.
And I fused with them earlier.
I fused with a couple buddies earlier. We can get this cracking. That would be hilarious.
That would have been great. That would have been so great.
But nonetheless, Gohan gets the power up, and he steps out the building. He steps out like he's like, like post-workout, you got a little bit of swole on.
Yes. I love Vegeta's reaction before he steps out too, right? Because he's like, "I feel a great power. Oh, yes, it's Goku. It's time for round 2." And then out steps Gohan. He's like, "What the fuck?
What is this?" Yo, who's this kid? The kid with the watch?
Nice little power boost. You still can't fight me, a trained warrior.
Yeah, but nonetheless, they pull up. I mean, Gohan's ready to scrap. I'm sure Krillin will show up and scrap as well. He's like, "Yo, round 2, we getting it on? Like, listen, we, on Earth, we whoop that ass. You get another one. You listen, planets don't matter. You can be any planet, anytime. You can whoop that ass." And they're ready to get it on until Vegeta, or no, I'm not sure if it was Vegeta or Guru who first senses it, but nonetheless, they sense
Guru senses a great power on the way.
Yeah, he's like, and there are multiple of them. And Vegeta, I guess, sensing that there are 5 of them and knowing the entire structure of Frieza's thing and knowing Frieza, he just destroyed the Doria and Zarbon, and Frieza is kind of left alone with like the help. That the Ginyus are coming. And I love, first of all, I guess putting over the Ginyus and just like, yo, the Ginyus are coming. Like they're put over. They're first kind of introduced with the silhouettes thing, and I love it. Like, okay, they're going into their battleships, and they're and you just can sense that they're, they mean something. They're Frieza's secret society of badasses who show up and fuck shit up on planets, and they leave it quiet. They don't make no noise. You really don't know about the Ginyu Force unless you know about the Ginyu Force.
And it's one of those things where like it instills that fear, right? Like this is the first time you ever see Vegeta shook to something that's not an immediate in his face threat.
Absolutely.
He's like, "Hey, yo, listen. These guys are on the way. Y'all better get this Dragon Ball to me right now, or else we ain't gonna stand a chance, man."
Yeah, you better hurry. Like, we gotta hurry this up. Like,
that boy started having a panic attack.
And then Team Vegeta and Team Z Warriors. I mean, they merge. It's a I don't even know if it's temporary. It's kind of like for the rest of the series at this at this point. Besides Vegeta being an asshole at various points. And then I guess the kid's being an asshole back. Kind of just stealing the Dragon Balls while he's sleeping. Yeah. Form a truce temporarily. So hopefully everyone gets what they want. You know what's so crazy? I still don't think any of them realize they get 3 wishes.
They have no idea that. It's just one of those things where, like, listen, I just need to make the wish.
Yeah, the wish. And that is it. Like, it makes me wonder if any of them got the wishes, like what else they would have asked for. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, if they had somehow been able to crack it and get through, right? Like, what would Frieza have wanted past immortality? What would Vegeta have wanted past invincibility? Right? Like,
I could see Frieza attempting to destroy the dragon.
Yeah,
on some King Piccolo shit.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Let's make it so no one else.
Death beam.
Yeah. No other pesky Namekians or Saiyans will ever threaten me at this point. Now I'm invincible. So there's that. That is where we're gonna end it for now on this sort of plane. The Ginyu Force have landed. They have done their necessary poses. Frieza has blushed accordingly. And that is where, that's where we're gonna end it. Let's check in on Goku and the dead people and the Earthlings and Bulma a little bit. Okay, so Goku, this is a continued trope. Wherever there's trouble, Goku isn't there until it's time to put out the trouble. Goku's still floating through space. He gets in touch with the four bozos that made it on Snake Way. King Kai warns Goku about Frieza. He says, "You cannot anger Frieza. His wrath will follow you to the end of the universe."
And I love how he even finds out, right? Because Goku just nonchalantly says, "Yeah, so Krillin and the kid told me that there's some other guys on the planet, and like I don't know what that's about." And then King Kai's like, "Hold on, wait, let me point my antenna over there. Oh shit, hey man, look, I know you on the way, but maybe you might just want to turn around."
Yeah, he's like, "Listen, you cannot fuck with Frieza." And it's weird. It kind of makes me question like King Kai's role in like what his real role is if he's that deathly afraid of Frieza. I'm sure Frieza could kill him.
Absolutely.
I'm like, sure, unless it's like King Kai has some like techniques and stuff. I mean, maker of the Kaioken, he's got to have some techniques he can teach Goku or something along those lines.
Seriously, you would think that he can use it. Right, but
yeah, but maybe, but it makes me wonder.
5 times 2 is still 10, so you know what I mean. It depends on
absolutely. But he's very like, "Oh wow, you should not mess with Frieza. Like you cannot anger Frieza." And Goku's like, "You sure?" Because like, I fought guys before, and it's I've been fighting guys my entire life. Like I think this Frieza guy. He seems like he's got a high power level. You know me, I love a good power level with the person I'm fighting. And Piccolo steps in and he's like, "Yo, go ahead and kick his ass, man." And it's like, all right, yeah. Goku, I mean, at this point he didn't know he was going there to fight Frieza. I think he just sensed Vegeta was there, but now I think he's got a mission. He at least wants to. I think even if they were like he got to Namek and they already had the Dragon Balls, they made the wish and brought everyone back, he would still be like, "But we're Frieza though."
Yeah. Listen, man. Real fun that I got here quick. That Frieza cat though, trying to fight him right now.
Point me in his direction. Where is he at? Never mind. I'll sense him. Dead people alert. Piccolo refuses to participate in the games on King Kai's planet. He refuses to catch the monkey. He refuses to hit the bug. He refuses to do any sort of thing that involves Yamcha, Tien, and Chaozu. Fair enough. However, he decides, "Oh, these scrubs, they wish they could be me. Let's go a 1-on-3. I love this little exchange. Just because Piccolo dunks Chaozu into the
Tien's immediate reaction is like, "Oh my god, no, he's dead."
Not again, no. Like he's like, "Listen, he's already dead. Like, relax." But I love the whole like. I mean, Yamcha gets a hit in, Tien gets a hit in. Tien, I'm fair with getting a hit in. Yamcha getting a hit in is
egregious. Like, I was just like, "All right, nah, chill."
Chaozu using like Thunderbolt or whatever the hell he's using to like get him down. It's obvious that they're proving like, okay, this training is working. Maybe they're not such scrubs after all.
Yeah.
But eventually, yes, they're still scrubs. Space Magnetic Storm accidentally shifts Goku's training from 50 times gravity to 100 times gravity, and he's having a tough time. I'm not sure. I mean, I guess doing sit-ups upside down in like 50 Cent fashion it consists of it's like training, but
especially for Goku, who he's had so many other forms of training. An ab workout at 100 times gravity. I mean, listen,
right.
I don't want to try it, but I don't know how much training that would really be for the man.
Like all right. So me and you, we're active in the gym.
Yes, sir.
I don't know how much my power level goes up if I'm training or like anything. I feel like it, but I don't know how much it goes up. But to think that you could train and just do some sit-ups at various times gravity and I guess you would become stronger. Shit, I guess.
Yeah. And to be honest, I need a gravity room now because if it works as like, hey, the harder the Earth is pulling down on you, the stronger you're gonna get. Well, damn, man, like, give me a couple of days.
This is true. I mean, we come up with we sell a whole bunch of things on that. Sell a gravity room and all the other stuff. Make a ton of money. I'll be selling to someone in Hollywood and be like, yo, listen. These all the new Hollywood people do it. They train it under 4 times gravity, just normal shit, just like walking around. For some reason, Dr. Brief can access the computer that says yes, it's switching, but cannot access it enough to shut it off internally.
Yeah, like it's like, oh yeah, I can completely see what's going on, but the manual control button it's broke. It's just I don't know why maybe I didn't even build it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it was supposed to come with the cappuccino machine, but you just had to fly off before.
He's made sure that man had beer, but he was not going to help that man if he left the planet.
Goku shreds his hands, dislocate, I feel like, both of his shoulders, just trying to, just take it down. Like, it's a tough goal for him. Like, I like the little filler. I probably didn't like it watching as a kid, but I'm like, okay, can we get more of the fighting? Can we get that?
Yeah.
Because these are the type of things like it's like one of those filler things. Like okay, this one is 75% of the episode, and the other 25% is like advancing. So I probably as a kid was like, damn, get this shit off. But I can appreciate it as I'm older.
At least this part of the filler, yes, because
this
is one of the few times where we see something that quantifies their increase in strength. Right? It's not just like, hey, I go to this room for 2 days, and when I walk out, it's 2 years later.
100%. Goku's having a tough time, but he manages to do it despite dislocating both of his shoulders and cutting up his arms, and just takes a sensu bean, and he's like, yo, I'm back. I'm back, baby. Damn. Great power up. Got to keep doing it. Now I got to train at 100 times gravity since I almost died at 100 times gravity. Now I have to master 100 times gravity. And then I think the final little bit of filler is Bulma's crab adventures. Oh, Bulma.
Man, that episode, that was really hilarious to me because I even made sure, like, hang on, let me go read the manga right quick and see if any of this is important. That whole episode is 80% subplot, 20% actual plot. Like I was reading the chapter and it literally is like Gohan and Krillin are flying out and they're like, hey, yo, let's hurry up and get there. And then Vegeta's like, oh, there they are. And those are the only scenes from that episode that are real. Like the whole rest, they clearly needed a padding week.
100%. And I guess they felt like they needed to give Bulma something to do. I mean, fair enough. She sat
absolutely.
there. She sat there for incredibly long. She's there to watch the Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball floats off the Earth. She tries to go down to find it using her special tools that she brought that she never gets to use, but she just brought.
Ever again.
Find giant crab, manages to save it from the crab. Then 2 Frieza fighters show up. They're like, yo, give me the Dragon Ball. And she's like, oh, it's down here by the crab. And they get messed up by the crab. And it's just, it's a tough day for Bulma. But a Bulma adventure nonetheless. I can appreciate it now that I'm older, but then I definitely didn't want to see it at all. I didn't.
I wasn't trying to see anything that Blueberry and Raspberry were up to. Like, it was just like, okay, all right, clearly somebody had to come over here and give Bulma some trouble, but they could have just as easily had a scene where the Dragon Ball fell into the water, she saw a squid, she came back up with it, and I would have been cool.
Yeah. I would have been 100% fine with that. All right. That has been it for this episode. And ladies and gentlemen, if you have not noticed, Jeff is is no longer here. Vet issues, all this other stuff like that, going through stuff with his new pet. I'll let him talk about it, I guess, on the next episode. But I want to thank you, Jay, for being essentially co-host for quite a bit of this episode. Didn't know that you had to do it, but you're here, and I appreciate you being here. Just where can they follow you and, hit you up about anime and stuff?
Absolutely. Yeah. Like you said earlier, Twitter and Instagram, Dion Brando. Be on the lookout for some Twitch stuff coming soon. I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but I've got some really exciting stuff with just like anime game streams, tokusatsu, being Kamen Rider and Super Sentai stuff. If you're into that, we might do some anime karaoke streams. Like, you never know what to expect, but it's going to be a lot of fun.
Okay. That sounds amazing, man. Make sure you follow him, because just listen, I knew that we wanted you on this podcast for quite some time, and we was just waiting for the right moment. I was like, listen, this is it. But thank you once again. Want to give a shout out to Jeff.
Thank you for inviting me.
No problem.
Oh yeah, hope this pup gets well soon.
Yeah, hope it gets well soon. We'll talk about it on the next episode. We'll talk about it next week, but thank you for holding it down. You can, of course, follow The Lookout at The Lookout RNC on Twitter. You can follow us on Instagram as well. Make sure you, subscribe us on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, now on Amazon Music. Amazon got a podcast thing. We're there now. You can follow the Smart URL link. Yeah, that we put up there. Everything is sort of updated. You can hit us up on YouTube. We got our new Mount Silver episodes and even our Mount Silver thing. It's no longer Halloween, but we still got the creepiest Pokedex entries that we just put up on YouTube. So you guys can definitely listen to that and hit us subscribe and show some love on that. But yeah, man, we're going to keep doing this from week to week. This week we got Big Eyes. You should have listened to that already. If not, you can definitely listen to it after this podcast. I'm sure they're talking about My Hero this week, which, if you read anything on the spoilers, I'm saying this because
times right now.
Likely we're recording this before actually Big Eyes is actually recorded, but big stuff happened. We're ending We're ending the arc, which I'm fine with, and I'm ready to have a big conversation about this arc and kind of revisit it and decide how I truly feel about it. We also got Showdown this week. I got a preview it for Jeff. I'm trying to see what the second episode is. He definitely
I loved that first episode, by the way. I am locked in. That stuff was amazing.
Beautiful. He posted it. Okay, so episode 2, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. It's Father versus Edward. Ooh. They're going over that battle. So make sure you stay tuned. It comes out tomorrow on Wednesday. So make sure you stay tuned to that. And listen, just subscribe to The Lookout. All this content, it's all here for you. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for subscribing. Keep subscribing, keep rating, keep all that. And we will see you guys next time. Take care.